What is up, everybody? Sysadmin Sean here, and today we are on day 12 of the Linux Upskill Challenge, where I follow the guide through each one of the days, kind of show off how it works, show the way I do these things, discuss maybe the differences between an Ubuntu version of the solution versus a Red Hat version of the solution. And today we're working with transferring files. So you can transfer files to a Linux box pretty much any way you could transfer to anything else. There are some really nice ways to do it that are built into that are, I don't want to say built in, but are there in the system. And there's a ton of different protocols that can be used in Linux, just like there's a ton of different protocols that can be used in Windows. So some of those protocols are SMB, AFP, that's Apple file sharing, WebDAV, which is like a file server website. I don't like it. FTP, pretty standard. SCP, that uses port 22, just like SSH. rsync, which is a file sync copy. So you can set up rsync on two devices and it will, whichever one you say, make sure these files match on the other one. rsync will take care of that. So if there are incremental changes, rsync will copy over the change bits. It's pretty cool. And then sftp, which is using the SSH protocol for FTP access, which is really nice. And basically what we're using today, but actually not really, we're using SCP today. So they go over doing SFTP, and that's just port 22. We're going to use kind of SFTP, SCP with the tool I like, and that is called MOBA Xterm. So you'll probably notice that the window's a little bit different. But as you can see, I'm connected to one of my machines. We're actually going to do another one. That's not the way to do it. I believe I remember the IP address. 2.168.30.13 was it? Let's see. Seems to be right. And then we'll log in and we'll pass our info. We'll say don't show this. I don't want to save passwords. Yeah, there we go. We'll clear that. We can zoom in, make it a little bit bigger. So here's where we are. We're on our Ubuntu server. We're at home Tiger Mask. And if you'll notice, this is my file browser. So this is the SFTP SSH browser in MOBA Xterm. So we already have an SFTP connection. So we can go and let's see. We have some files in here. Let's cat blah.txt. What's in that? I'm writing a file. So what we can do is, maybe I want to pull that down. I can just right click and I can go download. And I can say, send that to my desktop. And we watch that little thing and it's done. And then maybe I want to put a file up there. So let's pick this graphics file. Why not? And boom, I've uploaded that file. You can see it right here now. Then if we look here, it'll also have the permissions of the users that uploaded it. And it doesn't hurt that it's in my home directory. Now we can also use this to make directories if we want to. Images. So now if we look again, there's our images folder. And then we could go into images if we wanted to. You'll notice that we're in images here, but we actually aren't over here. So we can double click. Now we're in images and we can just upload again. And bang, there's that file. So if we do an LSLA, there's our file we moved in. Now, what if I needed to put it somewhere else? Well, that's a little bit trickier. So let's go outside of my home directory, right? Let's go into Etsy. We don't have permission in here. So if we try to upload a file, it's not going to let us. Let's see, where's the upload button? There it is. This should throw an error. Yep, there we go. Permission denied. Now, can we download from here? Since we're making a copy of the file, it may be okay. Yeah, it's okay because we were just making a copy, which is just as simple as, let's see, let's do Etsy hosts, right? Cat Etsy hosts. Now, since I can read this file, I can just right click, hit copy, and then maybe I want to go over here. And I can just actually paste. Ta-da! We're not going to save that file though. But anyway, that's the cool thing about this. Now there is WinSCP, CyberDuck, FileZilla, tons of different ways to get WinSCP, this access, this SFTP access. I just really appreciate MOBA Xterm because I can have my SSH session running. I could be looking at HTOP while I'm, browsing through different parts of the system, looking at different folders, finding out where things might be. You know, I can right click on this. I can make renames if I had permission. I can copy the path to the terminal. So that's kind of cool. Let's do that. If I do bloop, there we go. But I don't think that's going to let us go to that. Yeah. Plus, we don't have permission. But if we go to, let's see what happens if we go home. Let's right click that. Yep. So see, that will let us go to home, which is what we're in anyway. Well, we're not actually. So you have the ability to navigate with the system. It's using port 22 for everything. What I also like about this is it lets me do remote monitoring. So I can look at what the name of the server is, processor utilization, RAM utilization, upload download speed, uptime, who's logged in, how much space is on the drive, and things like that. And you can hover over these. You won't be able to see them because they don't pop up kind of the same way. But if you hover over certain things, it'll tell you a lot more, much like, so if I'm hovering over the disk, for example, it's just giving me this readout, but in a graphical layout. Uptime is just going to be uptime, you know. It's really cool how it's got all this stuff. And then HUD and the RAM gives you basically free-G, free-H. And that's kind of it. That's really all there is to this day's lesson. And I really like that I get to show off mobile Xterm again. I won't be using it probably for the rest of the lessons because we've been using the terminal so much. Or I might use it. I don't know. It's already logged in and everything. And I do really like the tool. So it could work out fine. But that's it for moving files around. Let me know if you have any questions. There's plenty of ways to do this. sftp is one of the easiest ones. Oh, another thing you can do, you could literally just go, let's see. If your systems are connected, we can do scp luc9. We can do tiger mask at 192.168.30.2, and we can even put a path in here, right? And so it's going to try to SSH over to the other system, kick off a password, and then if it completes, there it is. Now let's go over here and check our home directory. And sure enough, we copied that file using the scp command. Real simple, great way to move data around servers. Does run into a bit of a problem if the two servers can't talk to each other, then you've got to be like the intermediary between the two. But for the most part, if you're needing to move like a simple matching config file to a bunch of systems and you're not running a configuration management system yet, that's a good quick way to do it. But that's it, and we'll see you for day 13.